everybody. Welcome to another edition of Dr. Sue and You. And what a gift. I am joined again today with my co-host, Dr. Donna Hunter. She is the author of the two books that are published by Kate Butler, who you know very well, Women Who Rise and Women Who Empower. Dr. Donna is also a speaker, a coach, and she was an educator for years, and I am so happy to have her with us today. Today we're going to talk to you about how to choose a lawyer, what kind of lawyer you need in your divorce, and how important it is to have an advocate for you and for your case when you're in court.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Dr. Donna, why is that so important?
The last one, having
Right.
an advocate. Because when you think about it, I hope our Michelle will talk to us about that person who's right in the midst of it. Their emotions are high. They're devastated. How do they come to you, and how do they even talk about the situation, and they need you as their advocate, but they don't even have the ability to conjure up all of the words to get everything out so that they can tell you how to advocate for them.
Exactly, and when you come into somebody's office and they just say, "Tell me what happened," they don't know where to start. So much has happened.
So much has happened.
What would you want in a lawyer, a family attorney?
The first thing is I'd have to have somebody that listens to me, that just let me pour it out. I know that's not your degree,
right?
But however, having that empathy for me, coming into the situation with me and letting me have that moment with you to connect.
Yes.
I need that.
Yes.
I need that first. Before I need all of the legalese, I've got to have the emotional or that emo connection.
Yep.
That you're gonna be there for me.
Well, first of all, when you are presented that somebody wants a divorce, your whole world crashes. I don't care if you think you want it or you didn't consider it as much, but your whole world comes crashing down and you feel like no one understands you. So that's why I think it's really important that your attorney does understand you. So we have a great guest with us today, don't we?
Yes, absolutely.
I know, I'm so excited to talk to her. Michelle Thomas. Michelle is a family law attorney in Washington, D.C. She is not only a divorce lawyer, she is a strategist and the founder of Divorcing Better, where she provides divorce and co-parenting coaching. And she is also the host of the Divorcing Better Masterclass that is coming out June 5th, 2021, and she will tell you about how to register for that. For me, I am so happy to have her here because she is one of the attorneys that I have really clicked with and has a firm understanding of what a client needs emotionally and legally while they're going through a divorce. So I'd like to welcome Michelle into the show. Hi, Michelle.
Hi. It's great to be here. Thanks for having me.
It's great to have you on with us today. You do a lot of different things, and you don't hear that all the time, that a family law attorney is also doing coaching and all these other great things that you're doing to educate the public. Why are these pieces so important to you in bringing them together?
Yeah. Well, Dr. Sue, I've been doing this a long time. So after 17 years of practicing divorce and family law in the Washington, D.C. area, it's fair to say I've seen a lot of emotional devastation, a lot of financial devastation on families who have been faced with divorce. And so I thought to myself, if I could just help people understand and spread the message that there is a better way. There is a better way to divorce. You can divorce without the devastation. It doesn't have to be a knockdown, drag-out fight all the time. I thought that the world would be a better place because we know that over 50% of marriages unfortunately end in divorce. And so this is happening all the time. There are children oftentimes caught up in the midst of it. So I have been on a mission to just spread the word that there are ways where you can save thousands of dollars by just taking some basic steps during the process. There are ways that you can negotiate and mediate and try to settle your case outside of court without all of the litigation costs and fees. It's draining, right? So,
Absolutely.
So that's really what's been driving me. I've been doing this a really long time, and I'm good at what I do. But I also want people to know that it doesn't have to be like what you see on TV or what you may hear about, the horror stories that you may hear about with your friends. So So that's what I do, and being able to provide coaching services, group coaching, etc., enables me to reach people even beyond just the DC, Maryland, and Virginia area where I practice.
And so it's wonderful what you're doing, and I think your clients probably appreciate that very much than just coming into a law firm, sitting down and saying, what do I need to do and help me do that. The emotional support during the legal battle is really, really can take over in terms of how a person will relate to their attorney as well. Do you ever see that?
Well, absolutely. I always say, Dr. Sue, that being a divorce lawyer gives new meaning to the term attorney and counselor at law. Sometimes you feel like there's a lot of counseling involved, and sometimes I find myself telling people in consultations, like, you deserve to be happy. It is okay to make a choice that serves you without the guilt and without all the other stuff, shame that comes with the process. So it really is important to find a lawyer that's a great fit for you, and that's both from financial perspectives, but also emotionally. You want someone that does make you feel heard, as you and your co-host were talking about. You want someone that hears you, that speaks to your concerns, and will address your specific situation and your fears to make sure that you can come out as whole as possible on the other side.
Oh, Michelle, you said it. I want that for everybody. But I also I have a challenge I want to ask you about with regards to those folks who have commandeered or they've contracted with someone. They're not getting what they need. What do they need to do? Because they've already deposited that first, given them that first few $1,000s, and they haven't seen anything. How do you advocate, or how do you coach that person?
Yeah, so I think that the question is, what happens if you don't choose the right lawyer for you, right? And that happens all the time. Lawyers get calls, or as the second attorney on the case, sometimes a third or fourth attorney on the case.
Sometimes
and
five.
That happens a lot. And that's one of the things that we cover in the master class is, how do you select the right lawyer for your case, and what's a good fit for you? Because this decision can impact the rest of the case and the outcome and your future. So it's really a big deal. It's important that clients know and feel as though their questions are being answered, that the attorney is fully explaining the process, fully explaining what comes next, what to expect, what they need from the client, just to make the process as efficient as possible. If you're not getting that, or if you are just feeling completely confused about the process, then you may want to get a second opinion. And it is, I hear you when you were saying you've already invested, the client may have already invested in an attorney. That does happen, but you'll probably be better off if you make the switch as early as possible if your needs aren't being met. The first step I would say is to try to talk to your lawyer. Is to tell your lawyer that you don't understand what's going on, you need more communication. If you've done that and it still doesn't work, then you want to make sure you get that second opinion, ask for referrals, and there are just tons of ways that you can find the right fit for you. But it should really alleviate stress. Having a lawyer on your side and a strong advocate on your side, it shouldn't be contributing to your stress, because divorce and family law it's hard enough going through a divorce. You don't need your lawyer to add to the stress of the process.
I love that she said that.
I do too, but you really need a teammate. I think your lawyer should be your teammate. Not somebody that is just dictating to you and telling you what you have to do. And I would love to hear your response to that, Michelle, because I hear that a lot from the clients that I work with. My lawyer is just telling me that I have to do this, and I don't even feel as though I have a voice in this. And by the way, that's the one thing that they felt they didn't have in the marriage.
Right.
That's absolutely correct.
It feels like the abuse continues.
Oftentimes those patterns can repeat themselves in the process of divorcing. And so, number one, your opinions matter. This is your case. This is your family. This is your life. I see the lawyer's role is to guide the client and to be there. The lawyer should provide options to you, to the client, and they should provide recommendations. Ultimately, the decision is yours because it is your life and it's your family. Lord, we are problem solvers. We are here to help a family solve a problem. It is your family. And so what works for one party or one person may not work for you and vice versa. That's why it's important to make sure you have a lawyer that listens to you and hears what your specific fears are or concerns are. So if you feel as though you're just being told, do this, do that, without any explanation, that may be a sign that you want to have that conversation we just talked about and tell the lawyer, hey, look, we need to sit down. I need more strategy calls. I need to understand what the strategy is. And let me be clear about that. You do need a strategy.
Oh, yes.
Going into this process if you want to achieve the best possible results for your case, in which your case is ultimately your life, right? It's your future, it's your children, it's your money. So all of that really matters.
Everybody needs an attorney like Michelle. This is what I say all the time. And I'm so glad the people that are going to be watching this is what they need to hear. Because this does happen. There are attorneys out there like that don't have to keep re-traumatizing you.
Right.
And you were just saying that to me.
Yes, I say this because it's, again, divorce has touched just about everybody that I know. Either you're in one, out of one, or you're a child of one. Somehow, like you said, 50% of the families are affected. But one of the things that I really have kind of come to grips with when talking to some of my folks that are going through it, they can't even get the words out, Michelle. They are so traumatized emotionally that they can't even tell their attorneys what's going on or how they've been abused or what's been happening in that marriage, even if it's a very short marriage or a very long one. They feel silenced. They feel like they can't say everything that's gone on. How do you advocate for them? They're having a hard time just articulating what's gone on in the marriage.
Well, I can't tell you how many times a client will call a potential client and in the midst of a consultation, they spend the first few minutes just crying. They can't even get it out,
That's right?
Because it's been, like you said, it's such a traumatic experience for a lot of people. And one practical tip that people can do before they meet with their lawyer in order to maximize on it is to write it down. So write notes, write a timeline, write a bullet point list of some of the key components or key pieces of your story that you want to convey, just in case you are too overwhelmed in the process. Provide that to the attorney, perhaps before the meeting, and that will at least help give the attorney some guidance and know where to focus the conversation. But it definitely happens where people are so overwhelmed emotionally that it's really hard.
It's really hard.
It's also really important that you have someone like a family therapist, a pastor, a very close friend, but preferably someone with some professional training that can also be present with you through the process. If you really want to build your support system as early as possible, as soon as you think you're heading down this path, because it is really hard. And one of the reasons you don't want to necessarily use the lawyer as the counselor or therapist, one, because we may not be licensed in that area, but also because it's going to cost you, right? So we're going to talk about ways, we want to talk about ways to reduce costs, keep costs down. And one is to make sure that you have the right counselor in your corner so that you don't have to always necessarily utilize the lawyer for that reason. That being said, your lawyer should have empathy, right? That's necessary in this area, so you don't want a stone cold lawyer either. But it's sort of a fine line and a balance.
You just read my mind. I don't need to say anything else. I was going to ask you about empathy and all these other things, and you're just so spot on. Because as the attorney, you cannot possibly be everything to them. You have your own role to provide for them. But I think the best lawyers, and you are one of them, I've said this to you many times, and now I'm saying it on national TV, you are one of the best attorneys. And the reason you are is because you have empathy for your clients.
Yeah.
And I think,
thank you for saying that.
And I think when somebody that has gone through a divorce, in fact, I know because I work with them every single day, the one thing that they are looking for the most is empathy.
Absolutely.
Not sympathy. Empathy. It's very different. We'll talk a little bit about that and more with an incredible divorce attorney, Michelle Thomas from Washington, D.C., right after these messages.
This
documentary is to helping individuals navigating the difficult life-changing experiences in divorce to come out on the other side better than ever.
Everybody wants to have control over their world. That's part of how we survive.
People wonder if their marriage can be saved. So some questions to ask yourself. First of all, am I happy? Is this working for me? Then, are the problems that are happening a pattern of problems?
If you're getting stonewalled in the silent treatment, if you're getting contempt, if you're getting defensiveness and criticism, you could probably do better by yourself. Really, and your kids certainly.
Parental alienation occurs when one parent uses the child as a weapon to hurt the other parent.
So the emotional, psychological, physical effects of someone going through divorce are pretty intense. Going through it firsthand about 5-6 years ago was one of the most rock bottom moments of my life.
Vulnerability plays a part in going through a divorce and coming out the other side.
If you take care of your health first and foremost, you will show up a better version of yourself. So your ability to deal with stress will be way higher than it is when you're not taking care of your physical health.
When we are in trauma, we have two choices. One, we can stay in it, or two, we can grow from it.
So you can survive this. You can thrive. You can have a happy life after going through separation and divorce, even with a high conflict person. You just need strategies to help yourself cope and to help manage the case.
Use your divorce as a launch pad to be the best person you can be, and you will survive, because no one dies from divorce.
Welcome back to Dr. Sue and You, and I am joined today with my co-host for the half hour, Dr. Donna Hunter. Donna, you know you're such an inspiration with all the work that you have done to help women to rise.
Wow, you say that, and I love this show because that's exactly what you do. Empower us with this wonderful guest that you have today, Michelle Thomas. Michelle Thomas, I'm going to be following her because just the very few things that she's already said with regards to making sure, one, you have someone with you.
Yeah.
When you're so emotionally charged and you can't get your thoughts out, writing it down, submitting those notes to your attorney in advance. This is just a jewel. She's a jewel.
It is a jewel, and she's very direct and focused and gives the kind of answers that people going through this need. Now, during the break, we saw the new docuseries that is coming out, No One Dies from Divorce. What an honor for me to be one of the experts speaking in there about this. But, you know, we're talking about this today. It's coming out May 21st, I think 2021 on Amazon Prime. And we're talking today really about no one does die from divorce if you have the right team in place and the right professionals helping you. And this is one professional right here, Michelle Thomas, an incredible divorce attorney out of the Washington, D.C. area. This individual really understands what kind of support a client going through divorce needs. Don't you agree?
I agree, and I think the term strategist fits you.
Oh, yes.
It becomes you, because truly having a strategy, you have to have one, as you've already mentioned, in getting through this season.
It's amazing. So let's welcome Michelle back in. Hi, Michelle.
Hi. Glad to be here.
So great to have you. Now, look, Before we went to the break, we were talking about one of the best strategies is to have empathy for your client. And I agree with that because nobody wants to feel they're being bullied again from the person that they maybe just got away from that was doing that to them as well. How do you create a connection with the client that is coming to you? How do you do that?
That's a great question, Dr. Sue. And it starts with the initial phone call with the office and making sure that my staff has empathy, expresses empathy toward the caller. When they meet with me, I spend the first portion of our session together really listening to their story, really listening to what has brought the marriage to this point. What was the final straw? What was the breaking point? What are their fears coming through this? What are their concerns? And then I'm a straight shooter. So I think that the clients connect with me, potential clients, because they can tell, one, that I genuinely care about their situation because I give specific feedback and tailored advice to their situation. And then two, that I'm not just here to tell you what you want to hear and send you on your way. I'm here to tell you the truth and really try to help you devise a strategy that works for you. So I think it's a combination of listening, really actively listening to the client's story and concerns, and then being pretty direct and honest and candid. I think people oftentimes appreciate candor, and that's me. That's what I offer. So if you want someone to just tell you what you want to hear and send you on your way, then that's probably not me. But
No, I don't think it's you, and it sure
ways to
isn't
really
me.
connect with them.
I mean, I feel the same way you do, and I think that the combination of both the empathy and also having a strategy is really the best way to go about these cases, because that's exactly what the person is looking for somebody to have compassion for them, but also give them a path or suggest certain things that can be done. It makes them not feel helpless.
Right. That's an excellent point, Dr. Sue, because I think clients need to leave feeling empowered.
Yes.
Because a lot of times at the start of that consultation or that first phone call, which is often very scary for people, it's a big deal. Many people say they never thought they'd have to call a divorce lawyer, right?
Yeah.
So when you have that phone call, they need to feel as though they have a plan. They're not just going to be outpowered or overwhelmed in the process, and they need to leave feeling empowered. And that is really what the goal is with all the clients and consultations that I have, is to make sure you know that you do have choices. And it starts today. Today you can make the right choice to move forward and ultimately get to the other side with grace. There is life after divorce.
What is going
and
on
sometimes
here?
we do some mindset work, with clients and say, you can see this as not just the end, but also as the start of a brand new beginning. You get another opportunity to sort of reframe and redefine your life and what that means for you. I think that also helps to empower clients to know that it's not over. And having an advocate on your side definitely helps navigate clients navigate
We're
the process.
smiling so much because one of Dr. Hunter's key terms is grace and space. Now, explain what that is.
Giving grace, giving yourself grace for the situation that you're in. I love the fact that you said, I've got to listen. I've got to be there with them. I've got to have that, emotional exchange so that they know that I'm here. And then giving them space to not make this decision. Give them the space to make the decision. Perhaps that first call isn't the call that you engage with them as their attorney, but giving them the space to actually process, love on themselves, forgive themselves, get rid of the shame, and then go through the next season to move forward. There's a process in it. I love that you're already in it with them, and you get it. You absolutely get it, Michelle. You get it.
Yeah. I love that phrase. Grace and space. I love that, Dr. Donna. That's great.
Well, I've already taken it from her.
There's
if you would like to rent it out, you can bid on it.
Great.
No, Michelle, I really mean that, because grace is because I beat myself up, my family's beat me up,
Yeah.
and I feel beat up by, just society in general because of the shame that's associated with it, my church, everybody. I'm just devastated. So I've got to give myself some kind of grace, and then I'm wanting also to give the person across the way grace, because we've got to somehow come to I'll say not a happy medium, we've got to come to a place where we can get if it's the divorce, we've got to get it done. So we've got to give grace to each other to move forward.
Yes.
There's got to be a shared grace and space so that we can move forward. There isn't otherwise. Otherwise, it's just this contentious, pattern that continues.
Yes. I mean, it just fits in so well with the whole divorce process, legally, coaching, counseling, whatever you're in. People need time to heal from everything that has happened, even when they are in legal issues. Yeah. They still need that healing time, because these legal issues can really build up one on top of the other, especially if you have somebody very adversarial on the other side. And they need to know that they have a partner like you with them, that if it becomes contentious, you're going to be able to still have empathy for them and guide them. So you hold the space for them.
Absolutely. Okay, Michelle, I have another, just the thought was, I need also, by the way, because I'm so emotional and I'm devastated, I'm putting myself in that person's shoes. You're going to fight for me. Are you going to, come in there and fight for me? Because literally I feel like my hands are too short. They say my hands are too short to box with God. I can no longer fight. I need you to do that for me. Can you make the shift for us so that when we are, we're waning, we're tired, do you make the shift for that person that you're advocating for, that you're representing?
Yeah, that question does come up from time to time. Are you going to fight for me? And I say that's what I'm known for best in the DC area, is really fighting for the clients. And that looks like different things for different cases and different people, right? For some people, it looks like just uncovering assets that may have been hidden. For other people, it looks like setting a firm stance on a child custody situation and being willing to go the distance. I've always told my clients that the way to achieve the best settlement outside of court is to show that you're ready to try the case. So if I say, well, we'll take this to trial, my opposing counsel know that I mean business, I'm serious about it. And so I think that's what the clients need to know. They need to know that you are willing to go the distance to achieve the desired result. And that oftentimes does result in that. And, there's such a difference. Dr. C just mentioned about whether the opponent is adversarial or unnecessarily contentious. That makes such a major difference. And if more lawyers, I think family lawyers, saw themselves as being here to help a family solve a problem as opposed to just ratcheting up the tension, then there would also be a greater avenue toward divorcing in a better way. So I'm a pretty big advocate for that, but that doesn't mean that we won't be completely ready to take this all the way through to the end in trial if that's what's necessary to achieve results. But it looks like different things for different people. I mean, I've had mediations for child custody that have lasted 16, 17 hours, whatever it has taken to get that end result for the client. And that's what they need to know, that they have a fierce advocate on their side. And then also, if the client has been subjected to any kind of emotional and mental abuse, they need an advocate that will serve notice on the other party that it stops now. Because the other party, maybe he's still controlling the situation, being manipulative, those kinds of things. And so it is helpful to that particular client who's been the victim of that to know that now this person's got to go through you before they can get to them. And that also helps, I think, put clients at ease.
Yes, I mean, everything that you just said there is so spot on. And that is why, especially in contentious divorces, the person that you're representing needs to really feel that you're not going to allow this person to really abuse them anymore. And that's when, like you said, an outside person comes in with like I work with people, teaching them how to communicate in a way where they will not be talked to in that certain way. So it all flows together. Look, if you have a great attorney that can advocate for you, has empathy for you, that you really can trust and is available for you. I mean, we could do another whole show on how many times you call your attorney and they don't get back to you for 2 weeks. That escalates the client's anxiety so high. I mean, we know, you're in trial and things like that, but I already called your office, Michelle, and talked to your staff, and she was lovely and empathetic, and I enjoyed the conversation when I was checking for another client. So you are doing the right thing overall. Now, quickly tell us about this Divorcing Better Masterclass that is coming up before we wrap up here.
Sure, it's designed to help people thrive before, during, and after divorce. So if you're someone who's confused by the process or thinking of contemplating the separation, don't even know where to begin, this is absolutely the class for you. If you're someone who's in the middle of it and expenses are high, tensions are high, this is a class for you, because we will show you how to reduce costs, how to reduce the tension, how to resolve the conflict. We'll give you some tools and tips that you need. People can register online at divorcingbetter.com. It's very simple, but this is really, it's going to be a power-packed session on how to prepare for, how to navigate the process of divorce, and how to plan for your life after, financially, emotionally, in terms of your own personal wellness. Self-care is a really big deal for people going through divorce. So there's a lot that's going to be packed into this these several hours that we'll be talking to people. It will be a live session, so you'll be speaking to me directly and some other professionals. So divorcingbetter.com, you can register, and I hope to see you there.
Oh, the self-care component.
I know.
That's rare.
That's all we work on is self.
The afterwards, and the self-care that's associated with it, because you feel like you have nothing left, and all you actually do, you have to take care of yourself.
Well, you know what? We begin with ourselves, and we leave the world with ourselves. So ourself is the most important person in our life, because we are with ourselves forever, every single day. And people may think that's selfish, but it's not.
That's the way you care for others, is you actually have to be available, and you have to be here, healthy and whole, to care for someone else.
That's exactly right. So put in the work on yourself, and you will see how your whole life just opens up in the most positive way. Michelle Thomas, I want to thank you so much for being with us today. This was a fabulous show on tips and things to help people move through and beyond divorce. Please tell everybody where you do practice and how they can get in touch with you.
Sure. I am the founder of MC Thomas & Associates PC, a Washington, D.C. based premier divorce and family law firm. I've been practicing for 17 years. You can visit us online at www.thomaslawdc.com. That's thomaslawdc.com, serving families in Maryland, D.C., and Virginia. And you can visit divorcingbetter.com to learn about coaching and the masterclass coming up. Thank you so much for having me, Dr. Sue and Dr. Donna. This was an absolute pleasure.
Oh, thank you. It was a pleasure for us to have you, wasn't it?
Yes, absolutely. And I'm a fan already. I'm a fan. I'm a fan.
I know. I've been a fan. We have to do this again. You have so much great stuff to offer, and I'd love to have you back. Thank you, Dr. Donna.
Oh, thank you, Dr.
for being on with me today again.
Truly.
It was great.
I learned so much. I learned so much.
You?
I absolutely did.
I did too. I always love learning from other people that really get it.
I learned so much each time.
All right, everybody, thank you so much for tuning in for another edition of Dr. Sue and You. What did we learn today, everybody? That you have to be your own advocate. Don't be afraid to ask for what you want, even from your attorney, even when you're not getting it. I don't want to hear anymore that you're calling your attorneys 16 times a day and not getting a response. That is not okay. That escalates your anxiety, and you don't need any more anxiety. You've been through enough. It's lawyers like Michelle